What's up, your boy, for another reaction? And today's video rap, how bad is the Ruben Bain situation by Flim Low Raps? Heard that boy Ruben Bain pulled a Jalen Carter, huh? Killed somebody in the car crash.
Last night, this crazy Rueben Bain story dropped on Twitter. If you don't know who Rueben Bain is, he's projected to be a top 10 draft pick, Miami edge rusher. Dude wreaked havoc all season and for the entire playoff as well. He's currently projected as a top 10 draft pick, but some people believe that could soon change based on the report that dropped last night. But with that said, others believe it might just be much ado about nothing. I've seen some pretty strong opinions on both sides of that, so I wanted to get a clear understanding of what's going on here. Some pretty strong. That said, others could soon change based on the report that dropped last night. But with that said, others believe it might just be much ado about nothing. I've seen some pretty strong opinions on both sides of that, so I wanted to get a clear understanding of what's going on here. Somebody pumping an old story trying to tank the kid's draft stock, or is it?
Yeah, I never even heard about this story, and that was in 2024. They brought that shit back to light because the draft about to come. They was trying to ruin his draft stock.
Real earnest reporting from a journalist who did his due diligence. Now, given the timing, there's been comparisons to the Laramie Tunsil incident, but there's a couple key differences
Bro, this situation, this shit's still crazy as hell.
I'll point out a little later. People been sending me a lot of confusing information about this story.
It's two Laramie Tunsils, not the one Laramie. I'm saying the name right. The bald Laramie Tunsil. I think he put it for the Texans. Is this the same? This ain't that Laramie Tunsil, right? I don't think that. No, I don't think they're the same person. You know, it's two of them. I think this the one right here that was in this video. Yeah.
Key differences I'll point out a little later. People been sending me a lot of confusing information about this story, but what's true, what's false, what's assumed, what's exaggerated? The draft process hasn't really been kind to Rueben Bain. Before this, he was getting dragged
because of his short arms. I still think he's gonna be good
because he's got short arms. But him knowing what else was kind of lurking in the background, for a while he was probably glad that's all people was talking about. Late Sunday night, a report dropped about a car crash Bain was involved in 2024. The crash actually left a young woman in a coma. She never recovered and ended up passing away. According to reports, Bain was driving at 4 a.m. on I-95 in March 2024. There was a total of 4 people in the car. It was Bain's 2 teammates and 1 female. And yeah, Rueben Bain was the one driving. He ends up rear-ending another vehicle, lost control of the car, and hit barriers on both sides of the road. The report also states that his estimated speed was only 55 miles per hour and that his sobriety level was apparently normal. Despite that, the diagram of the accident shows he lost control pretty bad, especially for someone who wasn't intoxicated and driving at such a controlled speed. They also didn't.
That boy ass can't drive.
Minister revealed sobriety tests, so I'd have to say it's fair if you have a healthy level of skepticism. I'm not saying it's impossible for this to happen at 55 miles per hour with no alcohol in your system. Of course it's possible, but when you start to stack it with the other facts of the case, it just seems unlikely. What other facts am I talking about? Okay, it's 4 a.m. in the morning in Miami during spring break. Now that's not enough evidence to convict somebody or to make up your mind that this.
But all jokes aside, I know this shit fuck with Ruben Bain. Like, cause somebody passed, he probably feel like it's his fault. Which it kinda is his fault, you know what I'm saying?
absolutely happened, but it is enough for me to just be skeptical if I'm fairly considering all the evidence that's available. Now, it's also possible that while he was out late, he wasn't actually breaking any law. It's possible that the report is 100% accurate. He was going 55 and he wasn't intoxicated. It was 4 in the morning, bro. He could have been sleepy. He could have lost control due to that. That's totally possible, and I think a solid explanation. So I'm not gonna hold a concrete opinion either way when it comes to that, unless more evidence presents itself and then ends up swaying me to one side or the other. But I just wanted to present kind of both sides of my thinking. But let me know in the comments, which side do y'all fall on? Now, the female passenger was Destiny Betts, and I'd initially decided to not include her actual name because of the quote where her family had requested privacy. So initially I did the video without saying her name, knowing that it's mentioned throughout the original article, and because it's the original article, I'm gonna have to link to that. So it got to the point where my gesture of not including her name as a sign of respect started to feel more like disrespect, and I spent a good amount of time wrestling with this. But ultimately I decided that since her name is already out there, nothing that I do is going to slow down the spread of that. I may as well properly show her respect. So I wanted to say her name and show her picture, and at the end of the day, I think that's the right decision. She was visiting from Georgia down there specifically because of spring break, and unfortunately for her, she ended up suffering the worst fate out of everybody that was involved in the crash. She actually went into a coma and passed away 3 months later, bro. She never recovered. But I just want to say rest in peace to her, and I'm really sorry about what happened to her.
Rest in peace.
Bain got cited for careless driving.
Rest in peace, Destiny Bates.
But the charges ended up getting dropped. They actually got dropped a couple of weeks before the young lady in the car passed away. If I were going strictly off the police report, the fact that the charges were dropped and the fact that the family even wished him well, I'd come out feeling like this thing was just one ugly, tragic situation where he wasn't breaking any laws and just happened to get in a car accident, the same way thousands of people do every day. And then tragically, one of the people in the car happened to pass away. And to be honest, that's really where I want to just stop. But I also have to consider the fact and report the fact that a year later, he was involved in another car wreck. And he was cited for another careless driving citation. And that charge was also dropped for the exact same reason as the first one. So I'm not saying anything definitive.
So twin ass can whip. Twin ass don't know how to drive. You don't know how to whip that big fire. Like twin don't know how to drive. And they gonna take that nigga. They gonna revoke that nigga license. Like nigga gonna get his license suspended.
But I'd have to pretend I was blind and dumb to not at least acknowledge the possibility that there's been some cover-up stuff going on. Again, I'm not saying that it has, but just looking at the situation, I have to acknowledge that's a possibility. And you can and should form your own opinion. Dude will be in the spotlight, so we'll get to see his character over, a longer period of time, which may inform how we look back and see this situation. Now, the guy who broke the story has been attacked and accused by some of trying to tank the kid's draft stock, and I can't say for sure what the man's motives are, but the evidence doesn't line up with that accusation. According to Albert Breer, NFL teams have known about this for a really long time. Plus, the Lions GM just came out recently and once again affirmed the fact the teams been knew about this. Pre-draft background checks are super extensive, and there's lawsuits and police reports that's tied to the incident. So it checks out that this would have been on the NFL's radar long ago. To think that
Yeah, I don't think it's the nigga stock probably already gonna drop because the nigga got 30-inch arms. Like
NFL
and niggas seen what happened with Will Campbell. Everybody been talking about Will Campbell and his playoff run and the shit. Like that nigga was getting dominated, like couldn't block for shit.
teams weren't aware of a standing police report that pretty much anybody can go and pull up honestly seems kind of foolish. There's also reports about NFL teams interrogating Baines about the situation, just once again confirming that yes, they have known. The reason I go so far and just pointing that out because I was trying to establish the reporter's motives. Once the dude was accused of trying to tank the kid's draft stock, I wanted to know a little bit more information before even diving into the report. But if NFL teams were already aware, dropping an article reporting information that they already had doesn't make sense as a tactic to lower draft stock. Now, I'm always willing to say there could be something I'm missing here, but based on that basic information, I would have to give the reporter the benefit of the doubt. So anyway, moving on. I also wanted to go through that because some people are comparing this story to Laramie Tunsil. I think we all remember this random image popping up on our TVs during that particular draft. Now, Laramie Tunsil was never arrested or officially cited for marijuana use. And still, when the NFL did their background check, they still heard rumors about his smoking habit. And while they may not have loved it, dude was so good they was gonna push it to the side. The Ravens are on record saying they were gonna take dude 6th overall if he fell to them. Some people thought he was the best player in the draft. But the real issue was when the video dropped. That's what really scared teams off. First off, there's the shot.
But I'm trying to make sure this ain't the same. Hold on. This ain't the same, nigga. Hold on. What's all the team? Oh, so this is the same person? This bald nigga with this bald nigga, this the same person with no eyebrows. It's the same nigga as him. Like, okay, so that is the same person. Bro, I'm thinking it's two different niggas because they don't look the same. What the fuck? Okay, yeah, the nigga looks so different because the nigga shaved his head and it looked like he shaved his eyebrows. Like, but a nigga looks so different. What the fuck?
Of this image just on your TV. And then the secondary thought is understanding the source of the picture. The picture came out because he was being blackmailed. So it scared teams off because they didn't know what else the blackmailer had in the chamber. I think it was this. It's been a while since I refreshed myself on this story, but those were the circumstances that dropped his draft stock. Now, with the NFL, it's always that visual evidence. The same thing happened in the Ray Rice incident. The NFL changed the suspension after the tape came out. They'd already had the report and interviewed Ray, but once the footage came out, it changed everything. So with Bain's situation, unless there's a photo or some video somewhere that gets dropped before the draft, or worse, even during the draft, this most likely won't really affect his draft stock. But there's at least one team, which means there's probably a few teams,
Ruben Bain ass look like Cuffham.
who may have already taken dude off their board specifically for that Laramie Tunsil reason. As one team has said, they don't think Baines has been 100% transparent with them, and they're worried that they might draft the dude, then more information comes out a little later. That could then affect his ability to get on the field or put an extra mark on his character that ends up casting doubt on his behavior in the future. So if, and that's if, Baines drops in the draft, it would be because teams had already taken dude off the board. Because like I said, this report wasn't a bombshell for the NFL. It was more a bombshell for us, the public. But there does feel like it might be more to this story. But based on what's been reported, that's all we got as of now. But anyway, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video. If you missed the one I dropped just yesterday about the NFL being under investigation once again, click the link on the screen and check that one out.
Oh, I won't watch that. Yeah, I seen the NFL under investigation. Yeah, Michelin Council Sharp no deuces well. He probably gonna go in the second round, my nigga. The nigga arms already short.